Here we are, Jackson Hole High School. How are you, T?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is going to be the first Outdoorsman podcast. T?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, so am I. It's been a long time coming. I would like to ask you the first question of the day.
I'm ready.
When did you start fishing?
Well, I was born a Pisces, so arguably, it was on my mind, in the womb. But probably started when I was 3, 4, 5 years old with little Snoopy rods. I fly fish now, but my roots were with spin gear, and spending a lot of time in eastern Montana, all over Montana, as well as in Wisconsin, where my dad's from. I just have always been attracted to water. So at a very, very young age, I developed you could say it's a hobby, but I'd say more of a habit,
A lifestyle.
A lifestyle, exactly.
Now, just going out with Dad, chilling on the river all day, or?
Yeah, I mean, he's getting older, so he's not able to fish as much as we used to fish together. And, truthfully, he provided the opportunity, but was never really into fishing. But he never held me back. He was more than willing to support my hobby and, that lifestyle growing up. So it was great, although he didn't do it, he provided every opportunity for me to pursue my passion.
Yeah. So how did just going on with a little Snoopy rod turn into full bore fly fishing and tying your own flies?
So my dad's he's born and raised in Wisconsin, and there is fly fishing there. However, my mom is from Montana. She was born and raised here, or up north in Montana, and it was from her that I got the fly fishing passion. She was a fly fisher woman, her family, her brother, so I inherited fly gear from my mom at a young age. And like anything, you want to get curious,
Yeah.
So I started pursuing fly fishing interests, probably, spin fishing from ages 3 to 10, 11. And then when I was 12 and older, I was fly fishing, and at first doing both, but then probably when I was about 15 or 16, became religiously a fly fisherman. And that's really what I do.
Just going out on the water and having a good time.
Yeah, I very, very rarely pick up a spin rod.
Now, I believe you were a river guide?
Yep, yeah.
Nice.
I've been a river guide for over 20 years.
Wow.
So,
what really got you into that? Because you went to college in Minnesota.
Minnesota at first for 2 years before, going to University of Montana. But I have never lived in a town that doesn't have a river running through it, and that's the truth.
Yeah.
I'm just drawn to water. It's kind of what's defined my life. My wife and I met on the water. We were both guides, and it's just someplace that helps me, I guess, find balance in my life. All my pursuits kind of revolve around water. And it was something my family did growing up. We rafted the Missouri. It was just fun for us. So it was something that pretty much was natural for me as far as the transition. And plus, it was a great job to work on in the summer when you're going to college because it pays well.
Exactly. So did you start, fishing guiding, or was it more whitewater?
Both.
Both?
Yeah. I've been guiding my dad fishing and my friends since I was 15, 16, have done hundreds of commercial trips. But anymore, I've found that with my fishing hobby, if I guide too much fishing in the summer, the last thing I'm going to want to do on my day off is go fishing. Yeah. So I've made the transition to mostly whitewater guiding in the last 10 to 15 years, just because, I'm on the water every day, meeting new people from around the world. Yeah. And when I get time off or time away, I, go fishing.
Which it's got to be a great time taking on those rapids every day,
right?
It
is, man. It's great. Yeah, I mean, because you can take somebody that is completely inexperienced, take them down the river, and they have the time of their life.
Yeah. Now, I believe you were sponsored in a magazine for college athletes.
I was featured in a magazine.
Yeah. He's an English teacher, guys. He's an English teacher.
It was myself and a few other, I guess they were looking at Western river athletes, people that kayak, riverboard, raft guide. It was odd to be part of a photo shoot. I don't like being the center of attention. I never have. But it was a men's health magazine and an outdoor magazine as well that asked to go through our company and featured a few of us guides, showing that there's your traditional sports, and then your kind of non-traditional sports, other ways to get in shape other than going jogging or lifting weights or playing tennis or playing football. Athletes are outdoor athletes as well, rock climbers, kayakers, skiers, snowboarders. So there's looking at kind of those alternative Western sports that people do in the West.
Yeah, I got you. Now, going back to fly fishing, your favorite part, is it more like just taking some time chilling on the river, or is it like trying to get the biggest trout you can?
When I was a younger man, it was certainly trying to get the biggest trout I could, and the most amount of fish. It was about catching.
Yeah.
Now it's more, sometimes I go to the side of the river and I bring my dogs with me. I've got 2 chocolate labs, and I'll bring all my fishing gear. I go to the river and I'll sit there, and I won't even string up a rod. I'll just sit there on the side of the river, throw sticks for my dogs, appreciate the sound of the water, appreciate the beautiful mountain scenery, and it's more so now it's about the entire aspect of fishing, not only like being on the water, but like fishing's become an art form, I mean,
It's how you relieve stress.
It is, but also, I mean, literally art. I mean, people write about it. There's poems about it. People have made movies about it. There are paintings. People build their own rods that are incredible. People tie their own flies. I mean, it has become truly
an art form.
It is.
Speaking of tying your own flies, I see you brought us a few in.
I did.
Do you want to go ahead and describe a few?
Do I ever? So, this is a pike fly. For northern pike.
Yeah.
I suppose you could use it for trout, but it's rather gaudy. And I suppose that's another aspect of fishing. It can take you around the world. You have trout in the West, but I've been to Costa Rica, I've been to the Bahamas, I've been to the Virgin Islands, just chasing other saltwater species. So streamer pattern, freshwater pike, looking for that. You'd use a 7, 8, 9 weight sink tip rod or sink tip line with a heavier weight rod. For this species, I tied this right here. I like black and purple with a flash of white.
Great colors.
Trying to mimic a small bait fish and get an aggressive fish to snap at it. I'd like to say I tied this one. However, my buddy tied this, much more ornamental, and he actually blows his own glass, and these are glass beads right here that he blew and then tied a fly around it. Beautiful artwork, again.
Quite impressive.
On the artistic aspect of fly fishing. And then this is a rod that I built right here. It's one of the first ones I built. It's a 6 weight. And I've probably built 40 or 50 rods by now. And I give them away as gifts. I build them for family. I build them for people if they want an inexpensive way to purchase a valuable rod.
Yeah.
Because as fly fishing's gotten popular, the price for flies, for equipment has gone through the roof. So a good way to mitigate or lessen that price is to tie your own flies, where you can buy all of your own equipment. You just put it together yourself, or to build your own rods.
Yeah.
And especially with long winters in Jackson, if it hasn't snowed for a couple of weeks and it's minus 15, I'll sit there on a Saturday, watch football, and spin up 2 or 3 rods.
Nice.
So it's fun, man.
It's pretty impressive, I'm not going to lie. Now, speaking of following the river, what brought you to Jackson?
A job.
A job?
And a truck.
And a truck.
No. Well, it was a job, It's I'd spent a majority of my life, educationally, professionally in Montana, and Jackson's close to family for me. I mean, my family's in Bozeman, went to school in Missoula, got family in Helena, and everything is, 3 to 4 hours, maybe 5 hours at the most away. So it was an opportunity to grow as a professional. I was teaching in a rural district in Montana where our graduating class was anywhere from 6 to 10. I was coaching football there. We were playing 6-man football. And there's a job open in Jackson where it presented an opportunity, like I said, for me to grow, to go from a smaller school to a bigger school, to be a part of a bigger department, to pursue professional development, to work with different students, a different demographic, So it was really an opportunity to take the next step in my career. And the proximity to Montana was huge for me. I could easily go home on a weekend. I can go home for Thanksgiving. I can go home for Christmas and see my family.
Yeah, you don't have to be too far away from
home. I don't have to get on an airplane and fly. I get in my truck and I drive 3 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, and Jackson's very similar as far as I was very attracted to the small town atmosphere. I don't like big cities. I like small towns, the hunting and fishing that's available here. I mean, it's very similar to what I was experiencing in Montana, presented the same hobbies that I did in Montana. They exist here, so it's kind of a no-brainer to move down here.
And just stayed here? And what is it, your 8th year, you
This
said?
is my 8th year living here.
Nice.
Yep. So, yeah, stayed here. My wife and I, my wife's a physical therapist. I teach. We're comfortable. We like it here. I mean, we miss Montana.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where, our families are. But, being here, it's not far away. And, it was originally, it was going to be kind of the 5-year Jackson experiment. Come down 5 years, build your resume, move back to Montana. But we've established ourselves here. We have a great circle of friends. The fishing's great. The hunting's great. Obviously, there's world-class skiing and snowboarding. No real reason to leave when what we love in Montana is so close, and what we love here in Wyoming is right at our fingertips and right out our back door.
Now, speaking of snowboarding, you're a snowboarder, correct?
Yes, I am.
What made you want to snowboard and not ski, dude?
Well, I did both.
Yeah. You just preferred snowboarding?
I do. I prefer snowboarding. There's, for me, snowboarding and powder. I mean, you're floating, you're surfing. It's pretty amazing. It's not like skiing, which is kind of herky-jerky. You look at like the powder 8s, and like you're taking a turn every 10, 15 feet. Like, just surf that thing, man. That's why I like it.
You said,
and I like the expression and snowboarding is a medium in which I think it reflects your personality.
Yeah.
I mean, if you like airs, you like dropping cliffs, you can certainly do that. If you like big open powder bowls and powder fields, you can do that. If you like park, you can. There's all different aspects. And that applies to skiing too. I'm not trying to disparage or say one's better than the other. Just for me,
you personally prefer
I personally love snowboarding and riding powder.
Did skateboarding earlier in your life have anything to do with snowboarding?
I think so. I grew up with boards under my feet. I grew up skateboarding, grew up wakeboarding. It was just natural to have a snowboard strapped to my feet.
Yeah. Okay. 2 chocolate labs?
2 chocolate labs.
Pride and joy?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Heck
yeah. If just to give you an idea of how much water means to me, one of my labs is named Eddy, like E-D-D-Y, which is an eddy on a river.
Yeah.
So named after a feature on the river, as well as a character in a novel, The River Why. There is the female lead in that novel, the heroine, if you will. Her name is Eddy, and she is a amazing fly fisher woman. And so named after a river and named after a character. Can't think of anything else that would define me other than literature and water. So, and maybe chocolate labs.
Earlier in your life, when you were working, college man, 22? How old were you when you were a Bear Grylls stunt double?
I would have been probably 23 or 24.
23, 24?
Maybe older. All the years of the 20s start to kind of blend together, once you get a little older. A little longer in the tooth.
It's pretty sweet. You showed me a video of it before.
Yeah.
And it's like a 70-foot cliff.
Yeah, about that. Man, that might be a little hyperbole, like 55.
Yeah, that's cool.
50.
You got to say 70, dude.
We'll go 70.
Round up.
Yes,
We round up
Lex
here.
Jackson, you got to round up, right?
Exactly. It was just cool working around that.
It was. The company I worked for at the time, it was called Montana River Guides. Mike Johnson was the owner. The river industry was just beginning to take off then. You had the commercial aspect where you get guided for everything, but if you look at the rivers nowadays, there are a host of private boaters out there. Everybody owns a raft. Anybody can go run the water. And Mike had the foresight to realize that there was a boom about to happen in the industry.
And Mike was
he was the outfitter that I worked for. Okay. Yeah, and he saw the boom coming, and we started to teach guide schools. We started to teach swiftwater rescue classes. We also became a whitewater consulting firm, and so anytime television shows were filmed in Montana, the Discovery Channel went through us 3 separate times for a show called Off the Grid, as well as Bear Grylls, Man versus Wild. Anytime they needed whitewater safety consulting, they went through our company. And so we were stunt doubles, but we were also safety consultants to make sure that any stunt that Bear did, he was doing it safely, and that we were also there on the water in kayaks, in rafts, in catarafts to support him should he need help. He was swimming rapids. He did, after we jumped off the cliff, to show him it was safe and show him technique, he jumped off the cliff, so it was great. It was fun for me. I was in my 20s. I was fresh out of college.
Having a great time.
At that point, I had no idea I was going to go on to be a teacher. I just just living life. I was living on the river in the summer, and then skiing in the wintertime, hunting in the fall, fishing year round. It was pretty fun, man.
Quite inspirational, if I may say. That's a pretty great way to start your life.
Not saying that's the path for everybody, because I had student loans lurking in the background.
Exactly.
You know, they don't exactly pay for themselves, but you know, it was fun for me, and it worked for me.
Yeah. Now, hunting, you are quite the hunter.
I love to hunt. I don't know if I'm quite the hunter.
I don't know, T. You've gotten some good ones in these past years.
Yes, I've been hunting for a long time. It's something that I enjoy. I bird hunt, I elk hunt, I deer hunt, and you know, I don't consider myself a trophy hunter.
Yeah.
I'm a meat hunter. I want to fill my freezer.
Respect
you know?
the animal.
Exactly. I mean, when you harvest an animal, respect the animal, respect the resource. You know, understand like your part in resource conservation, and you know, but celebrate the animal, and then also celebrate with the harvest with your friends. You know, make a big vat of elk chili, have people over. You know, grill up some backstraps. Again, have people over, and that's what I love about it. And like fishing, when you're out hunting, you just see amazing things: sunrises, sunsets. You see wildlife that you're not looking for. You have encounters with elk that take your breath away, and you're not sure if it's your heart that's beating in your throat, or you can actually hear the elk's heart beating. You know, it's incredible.
Sweet. Well, I want to thank you for being on this show, T.
My pleasure.
It's been wonderful.
Yeah.
Tune in next time. It's going to be great. Don't know who we have on yet. It's going to be great. T, thank you again.
My pleasure. All right.
Sweet.
Was that long?